Hey everybody, Mr. Burke and I are here on our snow day because we love you, and based on your midterm course feedback, we're going to create a video, this video you're watching, as a resource to help you be successful on problem number 3. During this video you're going to see some key points including the rubric. We'll go through the rubric and its connection to the instructions so you're sure not to miss out on any graded features of problem number 3. We'll also talk about some resources that can really help to take your project to the next level to really improve it and make it spectacular. And lastly, we'll hit some pitfalls, some places in the past we've seen kids lose points or have their grades decline, so you can be sure to avoid those at all costs. So feel free to, as always, fast forward us, rewind us, and get to the points you need to, but let's all make sure to do our best on problem number 3. One of the key failure points we've seen in the past is that somebody's responsible for a part of the project that is not one of their strengths. You should be in a group right now with at least 3 people with different strengths. Be sure to divide the responsibilities of your project accordingly. Make sure that your CEO is in charge of that Trello building, the time frame, the responsibilities. Make sure your research and development is in charge of the science background, literature review. Make sure that your marketing person is in charge of that graphic design and the presentation. But make sure you're all functioning together as well. You want to be checking each other. Remember our motto, trust, but verify that everybody's getting their jobs done effectively.
One of the other failure points in this project is also one of my big pet peeves, and that is not understanding the whole framework of this presentation. That you are a company selling your work. You're trying to get other people to understand the passion that is your project. And so basically what we see most of the time is this flat, apathetic delivery where people just kind of blah blah, this is what we did, that type of thing. So I want to remind you the video we watched earlier in the year, that TED video from Nancy Duarte about the Martin Luther King speech and the Steve Jobs speech, that have that same structure, that this is what is, this is what could be, that back and forth, that undulation of the emotions really gets your audience invested emotionally. It's a very, very simple, easy thing for you to do, especially in this project, for you to talk about how your project is better than what currently exists, what is, what could be. So don't forget that. Make sure that you have some energy and some passion in your presentation. That's the whole point of this sales pitch idea.
The next key failure point that we often see is ideas that aren't fully complete. When you think your product through, make sure you go all the way to the end game so that if somebody asks you a question, you can explain your thought process and explain why you did this or why you did that or the decisions you made along the way. So make sure you have well-developed, well-rounded ideas with research to support them and products to demonstrate the things you came up with. People with the most well-rounded, well-thought-out, well-completed projects are the ones that do the best on problem number 3.
And the last thing to remind you, which is another famous failure point in previous years, is that groups often forget to collaborate. It's a divide and conquer mentality, but it's a divide and let's all show up the day we need to present and let's all do our little silo. The collaboration part is where you really will get your strength. So you need to be collaborating throughout the project. You need to have these due dates. You need to have these this agreement with your group that everybody is making progress and you're seeing everybody's progress and you understand this cross training, basically, where you know what your partner is doing, you know what your other group member is going to be doing next, all of that stuff. You got to know what's happening in your group. So set those due dates before the due dates that Clemmer and I give you so that you have that built-in buffer to make sure that you're going to be successful. Make sure that if things aren't working in your group that you are communicating with Clemmer and myself. And the best way to come to us with that is to be able to show us something like your Trello board that has tasks laid out and you have people in your group who aren't doing their thing. Trello is a perfect tool to be able to show that. Not only is it helping you be successful where everybody does use it and it works well, but it also is a backup if things aren't working well that can help kind of protect your personal grade if things aren't going well in your group.
So this section of the video is going to probably be the most important for your success, and it's going to walk you through each section of the rubric and show you the things you have to make sure that you get completed and handed in. So now we'd like to walk you through the instructions in the rubric for problem 3 to make sure that you get the best grade possible. This is your instruction page and this is your rubric page. You'll notice the first section talks about the organization of your notes for research and development. It needs to be highly organized. This means that we're going to be looking for a folder system in your turn-in folder. You should have a problem 3 folder, and probably each section of the rubric itself should have its own subfolder within there. Also, a key point here is to utilize the literature review form that we did in 312. Take the 312 literature review form and apply it to your product to demonstrate to us that you've done really thorough background research on that. The next section you see, you'll notice that this is for part 1 of 313. So if you're looking at your instructions, you'll see right here, part 1. So these are the things that you have to complete for part 1. The rubric, it thorough and clearly outlines all the main points as instructed. And if you look at as instructed, you have some questions here. You have to be sure to answer clearly. You probably want your own Google Doc that clearly and thoroughly has answers to those questions. You need to use your design brief resource packet, which we have linked right here for you. So you can hopefully click that link and use it right away. And then you're going to do some brainstorming and evaluating and make sure that you talk to Mr. Burke and myself to get final approval for your idea before you go through. You know that all your ideas are great, but sometimes we can just give you a little guidance. Make sure you don't go too far off the path that you need to be on right then. Now, the next section you'll see is the part 2 of 313, in which you're looking for thorough sketches, initial designs, and outlines, materials, and other groups' critique identified. So some key points here. You must have another group sign your initial plans to show that they've given feedback. Sign and include their feedback as well on those plans. Here is part 2. It says to develop sketches of the design, share them, and have a list of materials that you might need. But this is the key point again: critique the designs, make recommendations for improvement. So we do want to see some recommendations in order for you to get credit for that section of the rubric. The next part is part 3, and this is your prototype. Masterfully construct your prototype. If you're not the best at building things, then remember you use SketchUp as an option to make a 3D model, and your things don't actually have to work. You just have to demonstrate the functionality. When you stand up and present in front of the class, you should be able to demonstrate how it would work. Please notice this is a ×3 multiplier, so it's telling you it's worth a little bit more, that you can accurately demonstrate the function of your product. Then you'll see on here part 4. Part 4 is your steps 1 to 4 in the product testing guidelines. When you open your product testing guidelines, step 1 to 4 is going to be developing an experiment that helps you to test the functionality of your product. You don't actually have to do the experiment, you're just talking about how it would work. And here's your link to your product testing guidelines right here in step number 13. So be sure that you do that and do that thoroughly. Next, we see part 5, your company, product, and information. Please notice in here this and this and this and. You need to do all of these things. Company name, logo, slogan, product name and logo. Make sure you not only develop them, but present them to the audience. Things that are developed but not presented are lost mental effort because you've taken the time to think about them and haven't presented them for their use. So be sure to see that. You'll notice next we move on to part 5, one of the part 5s. You have a part 5 here, and a part 5 here, and a part 5 here. So there's lots of different things involved. But the second part of part 5 is a thorough description and a visual of the product and packaging. So make sure you actually create that packaging or an image of that packaging that shows why it's going to be effective improvement to comparables. Then when you come down here to our place and position positioning and promotion, when you look in our instructions, you're going to see that you have lots of things to think about with place and positioning and promotion, like who are the consumers and everything that it says here. You also notice it's really important in this one to have well-crafted samples of marketing materials. You probably want to think to yourself, is one magazine advertisement good enough? If I have a thorough marketing plan, you might want to have a commercial developed. You might want to have flyers, brochures, advertisements, digital advertising. Think about billboards. Think about websites. We've had great websites develop in the past to market as well. Think about all those things to have the most thorough marketing plan possible. Then you'll see these last: organization, quality, preparation, and your skills are all related to presentation. We've done a lot with presentation, and if you add all these together, the multipliers, you'll see that's times 8 altogether. Each individual only being times 2, but times 8 altogether. So for organization, just think to yourself, does it flow? Is everything ready? Is it present? Is it presented and explained? Again, just because you've thought of something, you need to tell the class about it so that we can see your thought process. So make sure you have it very well organized. Your quality of your visual presentation. Make sure you use Burke's infographics and the advice that he's given in class to make sure it's a high quality visual presentation. We don't want to read about it. You're the presentation. Have your PowerPoint or your backup there as your support. Your preparation of the presentation. Know what you're doing, know who's talking, know what they're talking about. Everybody should kind of know about each other's parts too, so that you can support each other or talk along the same lines. So just have it very well prepared. And then lastly, your presentation skills. Everybody's getting very good at this, but there's still room for improvement for everyone. Make sure everyone in your group has thought about what they've seen in the past. Do they have catchphrases they go back to? Are there things that they need to think consciously about doing, like making eye contact, or moving around, or not fiddling, or not snapping and clapping, and fun things like that? So make sure you hit all these things. As always, look at your whole rubric. Look at it all. Look back at it. Compare it to your instructions. Make sure that you don't miss anything. This is just kind of a depiction of all the highlights. If you want to be the most successful on problem 3, these 2 documents are the most important things that you need to refer back to. Good luck.
To help you with this project, I'm going to remind you of 5 resources that will be dramatically helpful in making your group much more successful. The first one is Trello. Trello is going to be the best option for your group to coordinate all of the multi-headed beast that is this project. There are lots of little facets out there, and without having something like Trello, you are undoubtedly going to lose those little things that add up to big points. So use it, track everything, make sure you do not shoot yourself in the foot with completing tasks. The next couple apps are graphic design apps. We have both of them on the iPads in the classroom, and feel free to use them obviously in class, but come in before or after school and use them as well. The first one is Logo Creator. Logo Creator is exactly what it sounds like. It is an app specifically for creating logos. It's very easy to use, lots of customization in there. So get in there and dig in and see if that's going to be something that's going to help you with the business design, graphic design part of the project. The other option is Pixelmator. Pixelmator won App of the Year last year. It is a great graphic design app, very easy to use. We did an after-school tech session on this, so somebody in your group who was there knows how to use it pretty easily, and you can find that to be a lot more hands-on and give you a lot more artful customization options than Logo Creator, which I feel sometimes can be a little bit flat. Still good, but a little flat. The third option is another award-winning, easy-to-use app, which is actually a website, and that's called Canva.com. At Canva.com, there are all types of social media templates, but then there's also a lot of basic graphic design options for you. Very easy to use, very powerful website. It's free. They do have some elements, is what they call them, which cost $1 if you want to use a particularly awesome picture, but I would just download one off of Google and then upload it and save you $1. But Canva.com is a great resource for you, web-based. And then lastly, our old standby from the ER project is SketchUp. And SketchUp is going to be great for those of you who are doing your innovations or your product and don't have the technical or physical capacity to build your model, your product. You can use SketchUp to model it, whether it be a microscopic thing that you couldn't do and realistically show to the class, or whether it's anything else. SketchUp is going to be a great tool for you to use here. So don't forget about some of those things you've been using in class previously. Make sure that you are using these tools and taking some of that time investment from earlier in the year and returning some of that back for other projects, this one included when it comes to SketchUp. So those 5, I would say, are the best things that you could be looking for to help you with this, in addition to just your standard Google Docs and whatnot. But make sure that you find these tools and make sure that you are getting all of these little parts done, and you will be successful.